What is up? We live. We made it. NFL kickoff. It is so close. Yes, I'm repping the Carson Wentz jersey this morning. Hyped to have him in the lineup for my Colts, but we'll give it a minute, let some people roll in, get these questions going, and we'll knock out as many start sits as we can in the next 30, 45 minutes before kickoff, because I'm going to need 30 minutes, to 45 minutes before kickoff to get my own lineup set, get my FanDuel lineup set, things like that. So we'll start it out with the objective, back with another comment. Shout out to you for being in the other live stream as well. Let's see. The objective's in a bad spot against Amari Cooper and AB. Tough scene after Thursday Night Football. So do you flex Jacobs, Pittman, Tyson, or Gage in full PPR upside needed? If you really need that upside, the answer for me is Michael Pittman. I know I'm wearing the Colts jersey. I know I might be a little bit biased, but just thinking about the matchups, Jacobs plays a tough Ravens D. Tyson isn't going to be involved in the passing game for Baltimore. Russell Gage, I think, is a good floor play. But if you need that upside, you take the shot on Pittman this week against the Seattle Seahawks. That could end up being a back and forth game. And if Pittman pops off, scores a touchdown or two, that's how you're going to get the most upside. So yes, it's a risky play. If this was just a normal start sit question, I'd be going Josh Jacobs here, or maybe even Russell Gage as a floor guy. But if you need that upside, I think Michael Pittman would be the move this week. Trevor Thomas, what is up? Do you start Josh Jacobs versus Baltimore? Another Jacobs question. Or T. Higgins versus Minnesota at flex, non-PPR. So that makes this one actually a little bit more interesting. I would go with T. Higgins here. I'm a little bit worried about Josh Jacobs' tough matchup against Baltimore. He also has been dealing with that lingering toe issue. So I think T. Higgins against Minnesota is a great matchup. I'd be rolling him out there in week one. What up, Big Pun? Good to see you. We're here, week one. And yes, that is a Wentz jersey. I got my Carson Wentz jersey on. Got to rep it for the squad this morning. Fingers crossed that he does some big things. But let's roll into some more questions. Julian Connor, what's good? Happy Football Sunday. Brandon Ayuk or Brandon Cooks? The battle of the Brandons. I'm going Brandon Ayuk here. Pretty good matchup against Detroit. I'm fading all Houston Texans. I know Cooks is the one guy there that's probably going to have some value, but Ayuk in a good matchup. Last I checked, his injury was okay. Let me just spot check it really quick. I know he had been battling the hamstring, but I haven't checked to confirm that he's active this morning. So assuming Brandon Ayuk is active, then absolutely I would go his way instead of Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, I think, could be the one guy there that has some value this season, but I'm waiting and seeing how Tyrod Taylor does. Okay, Brandon Ayuk's active, so that's definitely the pick for me. All right, it's Big Pun. You know you're the man, so I'll review this roster real quick. Jalen Hurts, A-Rob Woods, okay, pretty good starters there. On your bench, Robbie Anderson is interesting. Cortland Sutton, Hawkinson. Yeah, I keep the starters you got. I mean, you got all studs in the starting lineup. Gaskin and Swift, assuming it's a PPR league, I'd keep in there. Maybe I like Corey Davis this week against Carolina. So if you want some upside, you maybe go Corey Davis or Robbie Anderson instead of Myles Gaskin. But for the most part, I think you stick with the guys that you drafted in solid matchups week one. Thomas, what's good? Jamar Chase or Deebo Samuel or Hollywood Brown as a flex? I'm probably going to go Deebo here. I love Jamar Chase season long. I do think he will get ramped up a little bit slowly this season. So I'm in that boat where if you got to start Jamar Chase this week, I think you can. I think there's a chance he has a decent game, even though we don't typically see it out of rookies week one. But I just think Deebo and Hollywood are both actually really good options. So I'd probably go Deebo in a good matchup against Detroit. New Life. Good morning. Chenault, Elijah, or Devontae Smith, half PPR. Ooh, this one's tough. It's between Smith and Chenault for me. I like both matchups. Jacksonville against Houston. The Eagles playing the Falcons. So I think Devontae Smith in a half PPR especially is going to get fed the ball. I love Chenault. I like the matchup, but I'm actually going to lean Devontae Smith here. I think even as a rookie wide receiver, they're going to lean on him this week. I think we've gotten some similar questions with Chenault and Smith. I've been teetering back and forth with these two guys. It's a toss-up for me. I think they're both going to have fine weeks. But right now, I feel like I'm just leaning Smith here this morning. Who wins, Jaguars or Houston? I'd put my money on Jacksonville. But if Houston's going to win a game this year, it might be here week one against a rookie quarterback. So not expecting crazy things from them. But yeah, Jacksonville has a shot to get off to a good start against Houston. Qui-Gon Jinn, what a photo. I love it. Star Wars legend. Your RB position is weak after the Gus injury. Man, it sucks. You have Ridley, Julio, CD, Cup, and Pittman. That's awesome. Should you make a trade for Henderson, Gaskin, or Jacobs? Standard League? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many receivers you're starting, but Ridley, Julio, CD, Cup, I mean, right there, you're assuming there's only 3 guys you're starting. I'd be willing to trade one of those guys and try to lock in a better running back for sure. Is Eckler worth starting? Worried he'll be limited. Look, if you're in a PPR league or a half PPR, this is my stance on Eckler. I have him in a dynasty league, and he's active, and I'm going to start him. You drafted him to be great and to be in your starting lineup, and you got to take the chances and assume that he's going to get some involvement. I don't think he'd be active if they were risking him at all. So, or if there was any risk to serious injury. So even if he's limited, I think you got to play him unless you have another really, really strong option. C-Dog, what up? Debo or Juju PPR? Ooh, this one's tough. I'm actually going to go Juju on this one, and this might be a little bit debatable because I think Debo's going to have a good game. I think his upside is there, but the fear in that game, and I know this is something people think about, is what happens if San Francisco just absolutely boat races the Lions. They get up early. They use Mostert on the ground. Kittle is involved, Ayuk. And it's like if they jump up on Detroit and Debo wasn't the reason they did that, then there could be some low volume in the second half as they run the ball. So I still think Debo's going to have a good game. Wouldn't be surprised to see him pop off for a long touchdown or something like that. But I think Juju in a PPR format is going to give you a high floor. So if this is just like in a vacuum, I'm taking Juju. If you want the upside, Debo is an absolutely fine play. But just between these two, I think Juju should be a lock for 10, 12 points in a PPR league against Buffalo where they should be throwing the ball. Thomas back with another question. I got you. How do you think the Ravens' backfield will look except for Lamar RB? I think this week it's going to be Tyson. I've been worried about him a little bit, to be honest with you. Like, there's a lot of questions involving Tyson Williams this week. And I'm typically fading him just because even though he could see the volume for the Ravens, if he gets 15, 20 carries, I think there's a realistic possibility the Tyson Williams stat line this week is like 18 carries for 80 yards and maybe a touchdown. If he gets the touchdown, you're happy with the week. If not, you're kind of screwed. So I'm fading Tyson. If you're in a pinch or you have, you're thin at running back, you lost Gus, something like that, and you need a spot start this week, I think he's fine. But I think long-term it's going to be Latavius Murray. So, I'm fine with Tyson if you have to, but I'm not shoving him in my lineup. Julian, watching the Amari Cooper fantasy MVP. Let's go. Hot start for the fantasy MVPs. Amari Cooper was one of mine this season. Ironically, in our home league together, listen to this sob story. Some of you heard it the other day. Stef is in my big home league. It's a huge league. It's been going on for like 10 years now. Amari Cooper was my guy all offseason. Stef sniped him from me in like the second round of our draft. It's a keeper league. So Stef got Amari Cooper, got to enjoy that opening game. I ended up having to scramble and get Mike Evans like 3 picks later. So you know how that started out. But to anyone who picked Cooper, fantastic start to the year. We'll see if the Cowboys can keep it up. New Life, you're the man. Appreciate you. We got you. Really thankful for you guys hopping on and hanging out, throwing some questions out here. All right, C-Dog. Traded James Robinson and Tunyon for Michael Carter and Waller. Did you win? Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, if you can lock in a stud tight end like Darren Waller, I'm all over the elite tight end this year. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, your RBs are Henry and Clyde. So locking in that elite starting lineup, maybe your running back depth is challenged, but Michael Carter hopefully comes on as the season goes along. So I like that move. SSAustin, what up? Game day, baby. Let's go. Chris, good morning. Swift over Juju for flex. Yeah, I'd go Swift. The injury and playing time thing is weird with him, but it sounds like the coaching staff has come out and said like no limitations for Swift. So to me, I'm fine starting Swift this week. I think Juju's a fine floor play in a PPR league, but Swift, it sounded like with the injury, the concern in his playing time wasn't because of the injury. It was because of his conditioning. So I think if he showed good things in practice this week and the coaching staff was giving him a lot of confidence, then yeah, I'd go Swift for sure. Thomas, your girlfriend first lost Dobbins, and then oh gosh, rough scene for those teams that had Dobbins and Gus Bus. Tough scene. Chris drafted Mostert and Sermon in a league. Any ideas on how to proceed? I I think you're fine for now. I honestly think you might be in a great situation with how the San Francisco schedule is starting out this year, because Mostert and Sermon, I think, are both candidates for a good week. Raheem Mostert was my start of the week for running back start sits. So I think Mostert is going to pop off this week. I think Sermon could actually come in and be solid as well. So I think if both have a really strong week against a weak Lions defense, you might be in a prime opportunity to try to move one of those guys and upgrade at wide receiver, or package them with somebody and upgrade somewhere else. So I think you're fine for this week. But when you get a window to sell, I will be willing to flip one of them and upgrade your roster elsewhere. SSAustin, I got you. Pick 2, JT, Saquon, and Keenan Allen, full PPR. You got to bench one of these guys? How many teams are in this league? Like 4? Look, something I've said about Saquon is you drafted him in the first round, maybe you got him in the early second round. It's the same situation as Austin Eckler for me. It's like when Saquon is active, you play him. But this is a unique situation where your other options are JT and Keenan Allen. So you're not going to have this kind of opportunity very often to bench Saquon. But if you have the luxury of having JT, of having Keenan Allen, I think you don't gamble Saquon week 1. You have the luxury to get to sit back, see how he does, see how involved he is against a tough Broncos defense. So I'd go ahead and roll out JT and Keenan Allen just so we can wait and see on Saquon. But if you have Saquon and you don't have these ridiculously good options, 100% putting him out there in my lineup this week. C-Dog, Miami or Ravens defense? This one's a tough one. I have Miami defense this week starting for me in my biggest home league against the Pats. Ravens defense, I mean, Monday Night Football, they just lost Marcus Peters. They are a strong unit, though, so I'm going to give the slight edge to Miami. That's a low over-under game. The Monday night over-under is a little bit higher. Maybe Mac Jones gets sacked a time or two as a rookie QB in his first start. So defenses can be tough to predict in terms of converting turnovers into touchdowns, things like that. I think Mac Jones is actually going to take care of the ball fairly well. But as a rookie quarterback, I think you roll the dice and go with Miami. Hope you get some sacks. Hope they don't score a lot of points, or hope the Pats don't score a lot of points, things like that. New life, is Gronk and Antonio Brown the real deal? Well, I'll tell you what, I think AB sure is. And that's a guy, Stef and I through the offseason, we were trying to say, it really feels like this Tampa Bay group is like AB it might be 90, 95% of what you're getting out of Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. They're all going to have their boom weeks. They're all going to have their down weeks. It happened to be Mike Evans this last week that had a down week. But AB is right in the mix with these guys, and you can get them 4 rounds later. So I think AB is someone you can flex all year long and get those big weeks out of. It's not going to happen every time, but this week was proof that he can get it done. Gronk, I don't think he's like an every week starter. If someone saw that game, they're like, oh, the old Gronk is back, and they blow you away with an offer, I'm willing to sell high on Gronk. But if you are a tight end weak team, I just want to hold on to Gronk and keep him in as like a premium streaming option. You know, if you're streaming tight end, you want those touchdowns, and Gronk sure looked fantastic in that game. So he's not going to be a stud all season, I don't think, but he should be a top 10 guy, and he's going to give you those pop weeks, which is awesome. Christy, yes, fins up. We'll see what they can do against New England today. All right, Qui-Gon, let's see what you got here. I'll rank your starting roster. I need to know how many teams it is too. Qui-Gon, if you want to show or throw in how many teams are in this league, that'll help me. Because in a 10-team league, a team's going to be stacked. We're in a 14-team league, they're not. But we got Herbert and Matt Ryan. Okay, pretty solid at QB. Ridley, Julio, and CeeDee. Very solid. Got the elite tight end in Waller. RBs are Dalvin and Tyson Williams. So the running backs are weak. Dalvin Cook's obviously a stud. I think the RB2 spot needs to be shored up. Okay, 8-team, you got to get a better RB2. I love that you have Waller in an 8-team league because you want that upside. At the tight end spot, you want, as much upside as you can get. Ridley, Julio, and CeeDee's fantastic. Dalvin Cook's fantastic. I'm going to give this team a B right now, though, just because of that RB2. If you figure that RB2 spot out, I think you're up to an A into, real contention. But if you can figure that spot out as the season goes along, I think you'll be fine. But there's a lot of upside on this team, so you should be pretty optimistic about it. Oh, yeah, Thomas, you got the Cooper Dak stack. That's fantastic. Go Colts. Hopefully it's a good football day. We got week 1 is great because you don't have any bye weeks. You literally have, I think there's 9 1 o'clock games. I'm on Eastern time. So I think there's 9 1 o'clock games, 4 4 o'clock games. Then you got Sunday night, Monday night, big day of football ahead. Yeah, Qui-Gon, it looks like yet Edwards went down with the ACL. Okay, I understand. So hopefully Tyson does something for you, hopefully in the first couple weeks. In an 8-team league, you should be able to make some waiver moves, maybe pick up an RB2, find a way to fill that gap as the season goes along. I think you'll figure it out. But the rest of your team's fantastic, so I think you'll be all right. All right. Got a lot of questions rolling in. Keep throwing those questions in the comments. I'm going to get to all of them. I'm going to be on here at least another 15, 20 minutes, maybe another 30. So I'm going to get to all these questions. If you have them, drop them in the comments here. And also, this is a good time to plug our Discord. It should be in the link below, and that's where Stef and I hang out. And when we're not live streaming like this, you can pop in there, ask your start-sit questions, ask about trade questions. We're going to get back to you. Like if you have a question Tuesday night at 2 a.m., pop it in there. When we get up, Stef might be up. He stays up a lot later than me. But when we get up, we're going to make sure we answer your question. There's a great community in there as well. So if you haven't checked out the Discord, it is absolutely free. And it's a really good time, a good chance to connect with me and Stef as well. We've loved hanging out with all the guys that are in there and girls. So be sure to check that out. I had to plug it before we carry on here. But Chris asks, am I still high on Hurts after the Eagles trading for Minshew? I'm just as high on him as I was before. I think before it was kind of like Hurts has an unlimited leash because there's no one they can bench him for. Now, I mean, there's an avenue where if something happened and the wheels really came off, they could bench him halfway through the season if they wanted to. But I still think the upside is there. So I'm not fading him one bit. If I drafted him, I drafted Hurts in the first place to say, hey, this is an upside pick. If he doesn't pan out, there's plenty of quarterbacks I can pivot to. So that doesn't really change anything for me. So Hurts is still an upside QB1 for me this season. And the thing is, if something does happen, if he doesn't live up to the hype, if Minshew for some odd reason comes in, like there's still going to be plenty of pivot options. So I'm still in on Hurts. I'm still high on him. I know Stef, my co-host, is even higher on him. So roll him out there with confidence this week in a good matchup, especially. TS, good morning. Happy you're here. Pick 2 PPR, Swift, Hunt, and Juju. Man, this is tough. Swift is a lock for me. I think he's going to get some volume on the ground, but he's going to make his hay this week through the air. Tough matchup against San Francisco, but Swift is a great receiving back. I think he could see 4, 5, 6 receptions, which would give him a ton of value in a PPR league. In the second spot for me, I think Hunt and Juju are actually very good floor plays with their matchups. Juju and the Steelers are going to have to throw against Buffalo. Hunt and the Browns are going to have to throw against Kansas City. I'm going to lean Hunt on that one just because I think he has a better shot to get into the end zone. That touchdown is going to give you the upside. So who knows? Maybe Juju scores, but I think Hunt has a higher probability. So I'm going to go Swift and Hunt there. Ricky Blaze, what up? Jerry Jeudy or Corey Davis? I'm actually going to lean Corey Davis because of the matchup. Season long, it's Jeudy for me. And I actually don't mind the matchup against the Giants. The thing that concerns me there, though, is that the over-under is ridiculously low. You got Cortland Sutton, you got the running back. So I don't know what's going to happen in that game. Teddy Bridgewater as the quarterback. So I'm going to lean Corey Davis just because I love his matchup. I think both of these guys are guys you can absolutely put in your lineup and both have a shot at a really good week. But Corey Davis with Crowder out, with a good matchup against Carolina, there should be some funneled volume there. So I think Davis could see 8, 9 targets in this game, and that would give him a pretty solid week. Austin Silva, what's up? Would I start Chase Claypool or Devontae Smith full PPR? This one's tricky. I think Claypool's the upside shot, and there's been a lot of Chase Claypool questions. I think he's one of the hottest names this week in terms of like, do I start him? Do I sit him? But Devontae Smith, to me, has a great matchup. He's going to get volume from Jalen Hurts. I know he's a rookie, and rookies do take time to work up, but he is the clear number one option. There's no one else at the wide receiver spot there that scares me. The tight ends, maybe a little bit. Goddard and Ertz are going to be involved. But I think Smith should see 7, 8 targets in a high-scoring game minimum. So I'm going to go Devontae Smith full PPR. Diego, what's up? Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes today? I'll save you some time on this one and say every single week you start Patrick Mahomes no matter what. So Mahomes is in your lineup no matter the matchup, no matter the situation, every single week. Eric, what's up? Good morning. Swift, Robbie Anderson, or T. Higgins in the flex? Ooh, is this PPR or not? Because that might make a difference to me. I am going to lean. Oh, this is tricky. I'm deciding between Swift and Higgins here. If it's PPR, I feel like Swift does have a really solid floor this week. I'm a little bit worried for Swift in non-PPR just because the matchup is tough against San Francisco. I don't know if he's got a good touchdown shot this week, and I don't know what the yards are going to look like. So if it's PPR, I'd go Swift. If not, I think I'm leaning T. Higgins there. Bennett, Swift or Chenault in standard. See, both of these guys would get a bump in PPR leagues, and Swift makes me nervous. I'm going to lean This is tough. I'm going to lean Swift. I'm still going to go with DeAndre Swift. I think the volume is more secure. I think Chenault's fantastic, especially in these PPR leagues, but it's a tough one here, but I'm going to go Swift on that one. Fame Tiger, what up? Good morning. Pick 3, Diggs, Debo, Chenault, Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson. Well, the first one's easy. Okay, and it's PPR. So the first one's easy. It's Stephon Diggs. He's locked in your lineup every single week. Debo, Chenault, Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson. I mean, a lot of names here that are right in that flex consideration. I mean, this is a great question. So I got to pick 2 of those guys. I kind of want to blend some floor and some upside. So I'm going to go with Laviska Shenault and Corey Davis. I think Corey Davis has upside this week. I love that matchup. I think there is a chance Corey Davis sees some significant targets from Zach Wilson. And then Shenault is someone who I think is a good floor play. I think he should see 5 receptions in that game minimum against Houston from Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to go Diggs and then Shenault, Corey Davis. But I honestly think Debo and Robbie Anderson are starts in most leagues as well. So not really bad options here. It's very, very close for me. It's a toss-up, but just my personal preference. I like Shenault. I like Corey Davis. And I think T-Law will do good. I mean, he's got a great first matchup against Houston, so a great opportunity to get off to a good start in his career. Jags or Carolina? I'm guessing this is a defense question. I'm actually going to lean with the Panthers against the Jets. The tough thing about the Jags, I don't think Houston's going to score a lot of points, but also with Tyrod Taylor, I expect this to be like a run-heavy, low-volume game where Tyrod's probably going to protect the ball, and I don't know how many like high-flying turnovers there's going to be, where with Carolina, I could see Zach Wilson putting up a ton of points, but I could also see him throwing an interception, fumbling, getting a couple sacks on him. So like from that perspective, I think Carolina's the pick because they have more upside as a defense, where Houston, you're probably going to get some points because they're going to score less than 20, but I don't know how many turnovers they're going to have. They're going to protect the ball. At least I think. So we'll see what happens in Houston. But I'd probably lean Carolina here, but both pretty solid options this week. Eric, appreciate you, man. Keep coming back. We'll have it all season long. Andy, Hines or Sermon? In a PPR league, it's Hines for me. In a non-PPR or a half PPR, I'm going Trey Sermon in a good matchup against Detroit. Diego, back with another one. T. Higgins or Cortland Sutton? I'm going T. Higgins against Minnesota. The Bengals defense is rough, so I do expect the Vikings to score a decent amount of points in this game. And I think Joe Burrow, regardless of how efficient he is going to be playing from behind all game. So I think there's some garbage time opportunity for Higgins to put up a solid performance, even if it's when the game is out of hand. And the thing is, if Joe Burrow comes out on fire and the Bengals win this game, I think it's on the back of these receiving weapons. Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I expect them to all have solid games. So I'm going Higgins there. But I do like Sutton as well against the Giants. I just don't know what the volume is going to look like for the Broncos this week. Duolingo 500. What up? Claypool or OBJ? That's Claypool for me. OBJ, I'm nervous about the knee. I know it's a good matchup against the Chiefs, or a perceived good matchup. The Chiefs are actually really strong against the wide receiver spot in fantasy. So it's not as good of a matchup as you think, even though the Browns are going to be throwing it a ton if they're playing from behind like we expect. But I'm going Claypool. OBJ, I'm just out on until I see it on the field. I'm okay to be wrong on him for a week or two. And if he proves to me that he's back to elite receiver status, I'll start throwing him into lineups. Actually, I won't because I don't have him in any leagues, but I want to wait and see on OBJ before I put him in my lineup, especially if you have a good option like Claypool. All right, Eckler or Zach Wilson in your super flex? Wow, that's an interesting question. I'm going to go Wilson 9 times out of 10 in a super flex. You want to play the quarterback. I mean, a bad game for Wilson, he could still put up 18 fantasy points, where that's a pretty good game for Austin Eckler, and you have the hamstring concern. So that's Zach Wilson for me. Thanks for the question, though. Meth Hendrickson. I hope I said that right. Anton, what's good? 0.5 PPR. Ayuk or Shenault? This is a good question. Both good matchups. I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk here. It looks like he's going to be active in this game. He is a yards after catch machine. I mean, Shenault is as well, but I think Ayuk could take 5 touches and turn it into a really good performance. So I'm going to go Ayuk there. All right, we're rolling through these questions. Keep them coming. We still got time. I'm going to get to all of them. All right, Duolingo, back with another one. Do I do this trade? Aaron Jones, Claypool, TJ Hawkinson, I'm guessing. Aaron Jones, Claypool for Kelsey, Deontay, and James Conner. Claypool, Deontay is a toss-up for me, so I'm going to throw that piece out. And it's essentially TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Jones for James Conner and Travis Kelce. I'm holding on to the TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones side if that was me. Nick, what up? 2 flex, start 2, half PPR, Barkley, Cup, or Thielen. I'm going Cooper Cup for sure. And I'm going to go Saquon. I mean, Adam Thielen is, I'm afraid he could be touchdown or bust this year. And I think he could come out against Cincinnati and score a touchdown in this game. But the thing is, if they come out relying on Dalvin Cook like they typically do, if the Vikings get up in this game, I could see them just pounding out the clock. So that makes me a little bit nervous about Adam Thielen. When you got 2 other really good options, I'd lean that way. Zaire, what's good? Jacobs or Najee Harris? Don't need to spend too much time on this one. It's Najee for me. Hemi, start 2 on this one. Claypool, Tyler Boyd, Corey Davis, Darrell Henderson, full PPR. I'm going Claypool, Tyler Boyd. And this is a good combo too. Like if you have Claypool, Boyd, you're mixing some upside with Claypool, that big play potential, with Tyler Boyd, who has a really solid floor. I just hit on T. Higgins for Cincinnati. I expect a lot of pass volume from them in this game. So I love those 2 options. I like Corey Davis as well. He's come up in a lot of questions already, but I'd go Claypool, Boyd there. All right, Miles Sanders or Chase Edmonds. I'm going Miles Sanders against Atlanta. I think Edmonds in a PPR league is viable as well, but Sanders is the guy for me. Tron, what's good? Should you trade Robbie Anderson and Mike Davis for Joe Mixon? Yes, accept that in a heartbeat. Get Mixon locked into your lineup if you can before this game. That's a trade I'm doing 10 times out of 10. Hey, Duolingo, thanks for the sub. Also, if you're watching, like and subscribe helps us out a ton. We're going to be here to help you out regardless, but if you want to support us, a like and subscribe always does help us out. Also, join that Discord in the link below. It's free, and we're answering questions in there all the time. Start sits, waivers, trades, great community of people in there as well. So just had to plug that. Chris, what do you think about Jamar Chase? Considering NFL footballs don't have stripes, man, I think Chase is going to be fine. Pretty lame excuse on that one. Crazy how a lot of other receivers haven't had problems transitioning to the NFL football, but I think Chase will be fine this week. I'm willing to start him if I have to, but there's a lot of good flex options this week. So we'll see how he does. I think he might take a week or 2 to get ramped up, but I think he's going to be great. Qui-Gon, thanks for hanging out, Qui-Gon. Plenty of questions coming from you. Should you do this trade? You send away Cup and Logan Thomas, okay, for Henderson and Corey Davis. You need an RB2 badly. Oh, man, it depends how bad the situation is. In a vacuum, like I like the value on Cup and Logan Thomas better, but if you're that, I mean, maybe wait, grind through this week, see what happens, and see if you can get an RB2 next week, because I like the Cup and Thomas value better in that one. Hunter Coop, good morning. I guess it's almost the afternoon in my time zone, but should you start Devontae Smith or Darrell Henderson? Smith for me, assuming it's a PPR league. I think he's going to get a ton of volume against Atlanta. He's a smash play. I think he's got a good floor as well. Love him in DFS too. He's super cheap on FanDuel if you're doing any FanDuel this week. Meth Hendrickson, back with another question. Appreciate it. Loving these questions. We're rolling here. Pick 2, full PPR. Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, Chase Edmonds. Really concerned about Eckler's hamstring. Yeah, full PPR. If you have a good option like this, I don't mind the pivot off of Eckler. Sanders is locked in for me. Eckler and Edmonds, like if your drop-off was even bigger, it was like Eckler and it was like Tyson Williams or somebody like that, I'd probably say roll Eckler out there. But if you're really concerned about that hammy, I think you can go Edmonds in what should be a high over-under or a high-scoring game with Tennessee and Arizona, because there is a high over-under there. So I don't mind going Edmonds. If it was me personally, I feel like I would roll the dice and go Eckler, but I don't blame you one bit for pivoting there. Yeah, big pun. I don't know about Deshaun Watson. We'll see. I actually just dropped him in a league because I didn't have room on my bench for him, but I'm not optimistic. We'll see. Marcus, good morning. David Montgomery or Jerry Jeudy PPR flex? Yes, it's a Colts jersey I'm rocking. I got the Wentz jersey representing. I bought this the day they traded for him, so I've had a roller coaster of an offseason as a Colts fan, but we'll see how Wentz does today. I'm hyped for that game with him fully active. I'd go David Montgomery here. I think he's a safer play. I think Judy's fine against the Giants, but Montgomery, even in a tough matchup, he's going to get the volume. Hopefully he gets the receptions as well. So Monty is my pick there. Mike Davis or Josh Jacobs. This is a tough one. Matt, is this a PPR league? Because if this is non-PPR, if this is standard, I'd actually still go Josh Jacobs. I've been out on Mike Davis, but if this is a PPR league, I think you go Mike Davis. I'm worried about him on the course of the season, but for this week, he's fresh. He should get the volume, and he'd be my pick in a PPR because I think he'll get some receptions. We got some Some Tua hype in the chat. Broncos or Pats defense? Derek M. Yeah, Broncos. Broncos has been one of my favorite streamers to start the week. Sharman is ruled out. I don't know what this is. If there's breaking news, definitely throw it in the chat. Zach Moss inactive versus Pittsburgh. That's interesting for sure. Wow. Oh, Trey Sermon's inactive today. Wow, that's crazy. All right. Well, anyone who asked about Trey Sermon, make sure you get him out of your lineup. Zach Moss. I was not expecting many surprises here, week 1. But my goodness, Zach Moss and Trey Sermon inactive is definitely surprising to me. So wheels up for Raheem Mostert. If you got Singletary in a deep, I mean, I'm not rushing Singletary out there against Pittsburgh, but like that's crazy. I'm probably fading the Bills backfield as a whole, but Raheem Mostert, my goodness. Julio Jones or Mike Davis at the flex. Cole Kids 31. I'm going Julio there. I love his matchup this week. Marcus, yes, go Colts. Let's get it. AFC South, we're coming for you. Yeah, Sermon inactive. That's crazy. New life. I have no idea. I don't really have time to catch up on the fly, but I'm going to be looking into that once I log off. Just get him out of your lineup. That's crazy. That's really surprising. He's someone I've liked as a flex today. So get Sermon, or not Sermon, get Raheem Mostert into your FanDuel lineups. All right, I don't want to skip anybody. Timothy Park, what's up? I got about 10 more minutes, by the way, so I'm going to start flying through these, make sure I get all these answered. Timothy Park, OBJ, Tyson Williams, Golladay, or Marquise Brown. I'm going to go Kenny G. I think the Giants are going to still need to throw the ball against Denver. It's a really, really tough matchup, but Kenny G is healthy from what I can see. It sounds like it's wheels up for him, and I like his shot at a touchdown the most out of this group. So I'm going to go Kenny G there, and you kind of got to hope for the touchdown. Nelson Rodriguez, what's up? Lindsey, Ty Johnson, Jamal Williams to replace Sermon. Yeah, Sermon managers are going to be needing to pivot. This is a tough one. I mean, oh my gosh, this is brutal. I'd probably go, this is really tough. I'd probably go Ty Johnson, and you pray for a miracle. And you pray that he gets a lot of work on the Jets. All right. Chris, is Sermon being out better for Mostert, or will they just use another RB2? I think it's fantastic for Mostert. I think he's going to go off today. Matt B, half PPR. Oh yeah, the half PPR with Jacobs and Davis. I would go with Mike Davis in a half PPR. Zaire Callaway or Juju? Marquise Callaway, I mean, he's going to get that funneled volume for the Saints, but Juju, I think, is a safe play in a PPR league. If it's PPR, I'm giving the edge to Juju, but I will say Callaway has more upside in the game against the Packers. Just depends what you need. Lee Yang, what's up? Boyd or Robinson? Tyler Boyd or which Robinson? If this is Allen Robinson, it's definitely Allen Robinson for me. Marcus, Jonnu or Higbee? I'm going to go Tyler Higbee. I think Jonnu could have a good game against Miami, but I'm going to go with Higbee catching balls from Matt Stafford. Rod, what's up? Full PPR flex and super flex. Mostert, Woods, and Fitzpatrick. Which two do you start? Well, in a super flex league, 9 times out of 10, your quarterback's going to be putting up points. Like a bad game from Ryan Fitzpatrick could still be 16, 18 points, which is a really solid game from the other guy. So I would start Fitzpatrick. Man, I'm going to go Mostert. I mean, before the Sermon news, I probably would have leaned Robert Woods in a PPR, but Mostert to the moon today. You gotta find a way to get him into your lineup. Benjamin Castaneda, what's that JT stat line looking like today? Against Seattle, I'm hoping for 80 to 100 yards and a touchdown, maybe a couple receptions as well. So hopefully he has a great game. Hopefully he scores 3 touchdowns. But if I had to realistically guess, I'm going to say, 15 to 20 carries, 80 to 100 yards, touchdown on the ground, and we'll give him 2 receptions for 20 yards on top of it. Lockett over Mostert in the flex. So tough now that Trey Sermon is out this week. I'm still probably going to give the edge to Lockett if it's a PPR league. If it's half PPR, I'm going Mostert there. Carson or Boyd in full PPR at the flex. I'm guessing, okay, Chris Carson or Tyler Boyd. I'm going to go Chris Carson there. You drafted him with that draft capital to start him, so I'm going to roll him out. I know Indy's defense can be tough, but I still think Carson should be fine. Justin Young, Gesicki or Fant in full PPR. I like Mike G. Will Fuller's out. Tua has liked Mike G. He had a couple good plays in the preseason. So Fant's been banged up as well with an injury. So I'm going to go Mike Gesicki. Magnus Tuxon Rosing. What's up? Half PPR. Tight end position is a mess. Jawan Johnson, Freiermuth, Croft, or Akins. I think Tyler Croft is sneaky this week with Crowder out in a good matchup. Croft, I think, could go for a touchdown, maybe 5 for 50 and a touchdown. I think he's actually a really sneaky start. I have him in a couple DFS lineups, so Croft is the pick easily for me. Justin, A-Rob, Claypool, Corey Davis, or Cooks. It's A-Rob. A-Rob's an every week start for me. Rod, appreciate you. Good luck this week, everybody. Yeah, let's get some dubs this week for sure. Justin, Monty Higgins, Devontae Smith, Claypool, and full PPR at the flex. Let's see, full PPR, some good options here. Normally Monty to me is like a must start every week kind of guy. But if you have some other good options, especially in the flex and a PPR, I'm fine with T Higgins in this one. I think the volume in Cincinnati is going to be great. I like Smith and Claypool as well. They're two guys that have had their names come up a ton in these flex questions. And I've been saying to start Smith. I've been saying to start Claypool, but I'm going to go with Higgins because of the volume and the upside in that game. Sony Michel or Damian Harris. I'll go Harris. I'm interested to see how this Rams backfield breaks out. The Bears aren't a great matchup. The Dolphins aren't a great matchup either, but I'm going to go Harris there. Big pun. Thanks for the shout out. Good luck today. Looking for Wentz to get the W. Yeah, from an Eagles fan. Well, hey, it's good for you too. If Wentz can get those 75% of snaps, it's a win-win for everybody. Sean, I'm rolling through these questions. Got about 5 minutes left. So if you're just joining, get your questions in. I'll try to hit on all of them. And if not, be sure to join that Discord in the link below. Throw your questions in there up to kickoff, and I'll be in there in the chat hanging out and answering those. And we're in there all throughout the week. So Sean, half PPR, pick one, Chase Edmonds, Swift, or Melvin Gordon. This one's a little tricky. I'm going Swift just because I believe in the talent. I think the receiving upside is a lock for him. I know Chase Edmonds and Melvin Gordon have it as well, but I'm going to go Swift here. Zaire, does Le'Veon have flex value in the coming weeks? I'm going to say no. I think they showed that Le'Veon's not going to be the guy. They brought in Latavius. They brought in Freeman. They still have Tyson Williams. I think Le'Veon could end up being the odd man out there. Latavius Murray is the one I'd put my money on if I had like 100 chips to give out on who was going to be the valuable running back in Baltimore. I'm putting 40 on Latavius, probably 30 on Tyson Williams, and then maybe 15 on Le'Veon, 15 on Freeman. I just don't really believe in Le'Veon's talent at this point in his career. All right. Back like we never left. Uzi, what up? I was actually just about to hop off, Uzi, but if you just joined and you have some questions, like throw them in there. Happy to answer them. And if not, we got that Discord that's in the link below, free to join, or I'll be in the chat up to kickoff. I got some lineups and things I got to set. I got to catch up on the news too. I mean, live on the air, we're seeing Zach Moss get ruled out. We're seeing Trey Sermon as a scratch. So it looks like Wayne Gallman's out today. So Mike Davis should get all that volume. So, I mean, a lot of stuff's happening, a lot of shocks here for week one right here on the air. So be sure to continue throw your questions in the Discord if I didn't get to it here. Yeah, thanks for the sub, Sean. Appreciate it. If you also pick the top 5D this week. My top 5 defenses this week, I know San Francisco's there, Denver, Miami. I think Minnesota is a sneaky defense as well. I know that's only 4. That's all I got off the top of my head. Uzi, appreciate you. Ayuk or Tyson Williams in standard. I'm going Brandon Ayuk. I think he could have 4 or 5 touches. I think he'll have more than that, but with 4 or 5 touches, he could turn that into a good fantasy game. So Ayuk is that big play guy in a good matchup. That's where I'm going. But thank you all for hanging out. Oh, we got one more. I'm trying to log off. You all won't let me do it, though. Darrell Henderson, Chenault, or Claypool in the flex. I'm going to go Claypool there. I think Claypool could have a big game. A little bit more of an upside option, boom bust option, but I think Claypool should be fine. Kahuna, what's up? With Sermon out, would I start Mostert over Mixon? No, start Mixon. I would still roll with the guys you got there and hope for the best this week. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for hanging out. Good luck this week. If I didn't get to any questions you have as I'm logging off, just join that Discord in the link below. Stef and I will be in there up to kickoff, hanging out, answering any questions you got. And then after the games are over, trade questions, waiver questions, we got you. So again, this is Alex from Double Move Sports. Good luck this week. Happy football season.